Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my dad's affair partner's kids after he cheated while mom was dying? When I was 14, my entire world fell apart. My mom was battling cancer, and while she was fighting for her life, my dad was sneaking around behind her back, having an affair with the woman who's now his wife. Let's call her Jane. At that age, I didn't fully understand how adults worked, but even then, I knew enough to realize what my dad was doing was disgusting. A few months before my mom passed, I found out about the affair, and it broke something inside me. I completely lost it on him. I yelled, I screamed, I demanded to know how he could betray her like that when she was literally dying. Do you know what his reaction was? Nothing. He brushed it off like it wasn't a big deal. He didn't apologize, didn't deny it, didn't even try to make excuses. It was like he couldn't care less about how I felt or how my mom felt. I spent days going back and forth in my head, asking myself if I should tell her. Part of me didn't want to add more pain to her plate. She was already dealing with chemo, exhaustion, and the reality that her time might be limited. But I couldn't stomach the idea of her dying while still believing he was some devoted husband, when in reality, he was sneaking off to screw Jane. In the end, I told her. As painful as it was, I think it was the right thing to do. She deserved to know the truth. When she found out, she kicked him out of the house immediately. That moment was like a line in the sand. He lost her trust, he lost me, and honestly, he lost most of the respect of his friends, and even parts of his own family. Word spread quickly, and people started looking at him differently. Some cut him off entirely. Meanwhile, I went no contact. I didn't want to see him, didn't want to hear his excuses, didn't want anything to do with him. And he didn't fight for me either. He didn't show up at my school. He didn't call to check in. He didn't even try to act like a dad after my mom passed. After my mom's death, I stayed with my grandparents, his parents, for a couple of weeks, but it wasn't a long-term solution. Eventually, I moved in with my uncle, my mom's brother, and his wife, and they became my safe space. They gave me stability when everything else in my life was chaos. I had already been close to them before, but after my mom died, they really stepped up. They became my home. From that point forward, I knew without a doubt that I never wanted to live with my dad and Jane. Jane, for some reason, thought she could play the new mom role. She called me, texted me, and even showed up in person a few times trying to talk. She'd say things like, "We can be a family," or, "I'd love to get to know you better." It was almost insulting, like she thought she could slide into my mom's place after helping destroy my parents' marriage. I wasn't polite about it either. I called her every name I could think of and told her straight up to stop. She wouldn't quit. She kept trying until my uncle finally got me a new phone number, so she couldn't reach me anymore. Even my dad doesn't have my current number. And then came the paternity drama. Apparently, Jane had been with another guy, maybe married, maybe just dating, around the same time she was hooking up with my dad. When her youngest was born, there were questions about who the father was. A DNA test eventually proved it wasn't my dad's kid. The ex was the father, just like with her other children. But during that whole mess, some of my dad's family thought it was appropriate to tell me about it. They acted like it should matter to me, like maybe I'd be more open to a relationship if the child had turned out to be my half-sibling. Honestly, I couldn't care less. I told them flat out that even if it was my dad's kid, it wouldn't change anything. My stance was the same. I wanted no part of that mess. But now, 3 years later, some of his family won't let it go. They keep passing along messages from Jane about how her kids want to know me, how they look up to me, or how I should give them a chance. Every time, I make it clear, I don't want a relationship with Jane, with her kids, or with my dad. Period. I'm not their babysitter. I'm not their big brother. I owe them nothing. Recently, one of his relatives tried a different approach. They asked me what I'd do in a real emergency, like if Jane needed someone to babysit the kids last minute. My answer? Too bad, so sad. That's not my problem. I'm not their emergency contact, and I don't plan on being. They were horrified, said I was being cruel, asked me to think about the children. But I can't help thinking, why is this suddenly my responsibility? If Jane and my dad can't provide a stable home life, maybe they shouldn't have gotten together in the first place. I told them point blank that if they're so worried about those kids, they can help themselves. Because frankly, I expect Jane and my dad will eventually blow up anyway, probably because one of them cheats again. When that happens, any so-called step connection between me and those kids will disappear just like that. And here's the kicker. My dad doesn't even care. He's not reaching out, not apologizing, not begging me to rebuild a relationship. He's not even trying. A few months ago, I ran into them by accident while I was out with friends. Jane tried to approach me, her kids were with her, but my dad literally pulled her back and started arguing with her in the middle of a store. Watching them bicker in public just confirmed what I already knew. Their entire world is toxic and unstable. So now I'm stuck with some of his family members trying to guilt me into stepping into this big brother role for kids I don't know, don't care about, and didn't ask for. They act like I'm heartless, but the way I see it, I didn't destroy my family, my dad and Jane did. I don't owe them my time, my energy, or my forgiveness. So, am I the a hole for refusing to help my dad's affair partner's kids after everything that happened?